shaking right now, guys. I still got it. Like, oh my gosh. What a performance from Roma today. I'm going to let everybody get on in. Guys, get in here, write in your comments, put everything, everybody jump on in right now. I'm going to promote this on all the social channels. Just send it to your Romanisti right now, wherever you are, in your WhatsApp groups, everything. I'm sending this just all across right now. I'm totally pumped. Roma played a master class today. Mourinho got this 110% right. This is one of the performances, top 5 of the last 5 years. You know, one of the top, maybe top 2, top 3 I've seen in the last 5 years. This was tremendous in every sense of the word. And Roma just shows up to the occasion so much. Packed stadium, over 62,000 fans there, and they're not let down. Roma has had their ups this season. They've had their downs. And this is one which, oh man, this changes everything, I hope, for this season, guys. I'm putting this across in all these different groups that I have on Twitter and whatever. You know, like, I'm just so pumped. I'm just like over the moon right now. How are you feeling? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure you're totally pumped. There we go. Let me know how it sounds. I hope the audio is really good. Everything should be spot on today. The camera, everything like that. Yo, just keep writing those comments in. We're gonna go through each and every single one of them. I have a shake in my voice, as you could tell. I'm so hyped up. I'm on a caffeine high right now too. I usually don't drink caffeine out of coffee, but I feel like over the moon. Great night. Miss you too, HH. Yo, what is up, guys? Literally a masterclass. It was. Gianluca Mancini, wicked shot. Yes. Everything about today was inch perfect. I just want to say that I think this was a match of unsung heroes. We've got guys who have had a tough time this season. Brian Cristante, Gianluca Mancini, who I think has grown a lot, Lorenzo Pellegrini, and Rui Patricio. Somebody who had not 2, but 3, perhaps even 4 massive saves today. Rui Patricio was tremendous. Looked like Buffon in his prime. There was one shot he saved around the 72nd minute. I wrote on Twitter that was as good as a goal. And it's true. Because what he did there was he flew completely across the net from right to left. I think on his weaker hand as well. And pushes it just wide. I think Di Maria hit that. Who is arguably one of the most talented players and active footballers right now. And I think that quality of his kind of flies under the radar, perhaps because with Argentina you have Messi, you have Dybala, but Di Maria is a fuori classe indeed. He's an elite player. He goes into any lineup and starts. There's a reason why he was bought by PSG for big money, why he was there for years, why he's been on the best clubs, why he's won just about everything. And Rui Patricio shows, and he matches that, and he comes up big. And that save, a few of those saves were as good as goals. I almost passed out the one that he had in the 97th minute, and he bobbles it a little bit, and he jumps on top of it. Bravo. I'm going to keep going through these comments. Put him in. Put him in. I'm hyped, guys. Let's go tonight. I feel Mourinho should stop starting. Genie, tough one for Genie today. He's going to need some time to get in the rhythm of things, to get with things, I think. Not only does it feel great to beat Juve, but those last 10 minutes when Juve had their full force squad on was super nerve-wracking. Federico Chiesa, Dusan Vlahovic. Who else? Di Maria was in there. Fagioli gets taken out. Paul Pogba goes in. Pogba. Like, they threw everything that they had. One of Italy's strongest teams. One of the strongest attacking teams in European football. And Mourinho has his guys organized. They're not allowing any space. Vlahovic was essentially eliminated tonight. He did nothing. I think he had 1 touch inside the box the entire game. And I'm not trying to be dramatic like a YouTube, what do you call it? Like a influencer, like, oh, dramatic. No, he did nothing. 0. And to do that to a player of Vlahovic's quality is, give me a word here. I'm losing. I've already said profound, immense, incredible, superhero-like, prolific. It's all of those things. Oh my gosh. HA says, yeah, Di Maria is the underrated player of this generation, like Rui Costa was in the Zidane R9 era. Yeah, people forget Rui Costa was a maestro of the game, and sometimes people forget that. Keep the comments coming in. Winning over Juve is always delightful. Yeah, and in front of the home crowd, like, to get these 3 points, which put Roma into fourth, in front of a sold out, like, I heard every single coro, every single chant today from the Curva Sud. It was brilliant. What a game. Mancini, massive. And I've said this before, like, he's been on it this season. Sometimes fans and critics don't realize until a player scores a really good goal, and they're like, oh yeah, actually he has been doing good. Today was a goal of the finest midfielders, of a trequartista, of a true number 7 that Mancini scores. That ball had, I would say it's over 100 kilometers per hour, no? Maybe 120, 130, maybe 150. That was a rocket that left Mancini's legs. Ibanez, one of the best defenders in the world at this moment. He had a heck of a game, Ibanez. Didn't let anything past him. And I want to also point out, like I said, Cristante too. Defensively, that guy showed up, man. Brian was big you-know-what tonight. Like, he won so many tackles in Roma's defensive third in his block, and so many transitions, so many counters and repossessions happened because of Cristante tonight. Subs were massive. Mourinho gets them perfect. Curva was in full voice helping out. And we got to talk about Keane. Yeah, we do. 44 seconds. I think that is perhaps a record for the quickest red card. And if not, it's definitely close to it. He takes one touch on the ball. And he's been watching a little bit too much Cobra Kai, if you ask me. He's feeling a little bit very LaRusso-ish, if you know what I'm talking about. And he gives Mancini a kick to his leg. Mancini rightfully goes down, gets thrown out of the game. And at that point, Juventus, it kind of reminds me of what happens with France and Italy back in 2006. A player does something stupid when they're trying to crawl back, and all of a sudden it sets the tone. Like, you would have thought Juventus had it. Well, they did have a chance at the end of the game. So even after that, noise all night at the Olimpico. Julian checks in, says fantastic performance from Matic, covered the ground well, added stability within the midfield, also made many key passes. Capitano Mancini. Who was that guy that said he doesn't know why Roma keep filling the stadium? There's been a couple people, because I wrote yesterday on Twitter that this is like the ennesima, like the umpteenth time that Roma sells out this season, and fans will say, oh, how does the team keep doing this when they're not having the best of results? And there's a lot of factors to that. One is the Friedkins connecting with fans the way that the previous ownership did not, by ticket prices, by returning the stemma, the old symbol. So they're doing things the right way. And I agree with Paul here that Roma could have beaten any team in Europe tonight. They really, love this Roma tonight, guys. Perfect performance, grit, determination, composed. However, it's still worrisome that we can't create chances. Top 4 battle, going to need us to bury some games. Speaking about creating chances, Rick Karsdorp comes on for Zalewski. Zalewski had a really tough time today with Kostic. And Kostic, if you're not familiar with him, he led the Bundesliga at times last year and the year before for Frankfurt. He's extremely talented, athletic. He's got a wonderful skill set on Kostic, and Zalewski was unable to keep up with him. So Rick Karsdorp comes in for him, right? And he has 2, 3, 4 chances. He's unable to really make them happen, whether it's making the decisive key pass or finishing them himself. And in that sense, like what Rocco says here, it is a bit of a problem, I think, with the players knowing where to go, because this shouldn't have been that close, because I think that Roma outplayed Juventus for very much of the game. Whether it looked like Juventus had possession or not, Roma don't really want to hold possession, so sometimes the way that it looks can be a bit deceiving. A new chant, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of any, maybe one that we hadn't heard before, but I can confirm if you know the lyrics or how it goes. What a great team effort, Francisco says. Francisco, did you go to Roma Club New York today? Let me know. Much needed win. Wish we had that grit last week, but I love finally get the better of Juventus. HH says Mancini is playing center back, right back, and a defensive midfielder in one. Ibanez is playing center back and defensive in one. Yeah, they were really stepping forward today, reminiscent of the way that Gasparini's center backs got up last season and the past 3-4 years, where the center backs would actually take a higher place on the field than sometimes the defensive midfielders would as they rush. But it's not like that, but it is kind of reminiscent of it in the same way that you just see them winning the ball in vital areas on the pitch and then being able to push through. Guys, I'll ask you, send this to your Romanisti friends. Send this to, places that you know so we can get even more people joining in on these chats. It really means a lot to me. But thank you for being here as well. Keep writing in comments and all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. Why does Kamara never get a chance? I have to believe, Dexter, that is tactical. Mourinho is so disciplined, or wants his players to be so disciplined and know exactly where to be, that I've seen everything else from Kamara. He wins the ball back. He's speedy. He makes good passes in the attack. And I wonder if he just doesn't feel like he's the right player to be in his tandem in the center of the pitch. Ali says the context of this game was significant. We weren't, quote-unquote, good against Cremonese. The media and the refs were ready to throw us under the bus before this game, but Mourinho pulled the moo and changed the narrative of the game. I think it was really tough to come back after that Cremonese loss, because you go immediately under the criticism of the fans, the criticism of the media and the news in Italy, which can be like venom, which could be a poisonous type of thing, and all of a sudden on a team which has young players in it, and also a share of leaders like Matic, even Pellegrini, you could say, Spinazzola. That teams sometimes they feel that. They know what's going on, whether it's through social media or the news or just people in the street, right? So coming off of Cremonese, it's like everyone's like, oh, this team's, they're wasted, they're done, they're over, they're fatigued, they can't get it together. And then you show up tonight. So yeah, the context is massive. Like Ali says here, it's really important to keep that in mind, that Roma does a heroic thing tonight by beating what I really rate Juventus. I think they're a strong side. I think they play out of the back very well. Allegri has them pulling strings and being able to manipulate their opponent to where they want them on the pitch. Quadrado was very good tonight. Bremer was really tough to get past, especially as he marked Wijnaldum, letting him get very little space. So I think, and then of course, as we mentioned, the attack, right? Chiesa, and then you throw in Pogba there. Fagioli is a young player I think is going to be really good. I think he's going to be a solid Azzurri player in the future. Dusan Vlahovic, okay? 8 goals, a few assists so far in the campaign. And Juventus is hungry. They don't have that expectation. They don't have to live knowing like they have to make up ground right now, because they could always use the 15-point penalty as an alibi, so that takes a little bit of the pressure off them. Also, they were away from home. So Roma has so many things acting against them, but for them to show up tonight was, guys, just give them a round of applause. 4 midfielders effectively. So I think what Brahim is saying here, that Roma collapsed with a 4-4-2 towards the end of the game. If you saw that, there was one sequence where Karsdorp messed up the final pass at the end. And what I noticed is that Roma did collapse quickly into a 4-4-2. The ball went out to Pogba. Cristante won it back. So interesting to see that, right? A lot of teams, I was watching something on Tifo Football, have adopted dropping into the 4-4-2 defensively. Oftentimes you'll see Roma drop into a 5-4-1. Rocco is back here. He says Karsdorp could have confirmed the victory twice. Panics on final decision. I guess somewhat to be expected, or at least understandable, given his situation the past 3 months. But so proud of the boys nonetheless. Joseph checks in. He says, wonderful game, but still feel like the attack is flat. So talking about that connection. Paul's going to buy me ice cream. Thank you, Uncle Paul. Siddharth says, it's kind of crazy that it feels like Cremonese was weeks ago, but it's just what Mourinho does. Occupying the noise. A little bit, yeah, taking that pressure off of the players. That's one reason why he's here. Establishes that mentality, sets a platform for these players to grow, not just as in a physical component, but also the attitude, the aspect of their emotional side and their social side. Ali says, the way Mourinho handled to the media to not focus on our bad performance against Cremonese got himself unbanned. That surprise of a lineup he put against Juve and the way he managed this game. Wow. So we didn't talk about this surprise lineup. Who would have thought that for the first time, maybe second time all season, Mourinho goes without a center forward? Not Abraham, not Belotti. No, I looked at all the probable formations, whether it was Gazzetta dello Sport, Sportmo, whatever it was. Nobody saw this coming. I never would have thought Mourinho would have pulled this one out of his hat. We go Pellegrini, Dybala, and then up ahead, Gini. Actually, well, I guess in truth, Gini played out on the left and Dybala played on the right, and Pellegrini played as this false 9, if you want to call it that. But all 3 of those players wanting the ball at their feet, sometimes, that those types of formations take a long time to build chemistry. So it was very surprising to see Mourinho throw this one out there. And in a super important match, that you take that risk, but it pays off. And you know what? That goal comes from an unexpected source, and sometimes you need that little bit of luck in order to get things to go your way. So it pays off for Mourinho today. And I think it was true in that he didn't throw the players under the bus after Cremonese at a time where some managers would, and maybe Mourinho at a different point in his career would have. But instead he says, no, we didn't do enough to win, but we didn't deserve to lose. So after Cremonese, well, you put that in the context, right? Team that hadn't won in 30 games, and then they go ahead and they beat Roma. And it's like, oh, is this team garbage now? And he says, no, everyone relax, just chill out. They didn't deserve to lose. And then tomorrow is another day. And that's exactly what Roma goes on and proves here tonight. Matt says, Mourinho made great subs at the great times. Glad to see he's finally subbing before the 80th minute. Aldi checks in, says, Dai Roma, we did great tonight. Maud says, Zalewski and Wijnaldum were awful. Well, like I was saying before, Kostic got the better of Zalewski, and Kostic is a player in his prime. And I think that you have to give Wijnaldum, first of all, the coach sees who he has fit, and he makes his best 11 based off that, the guys that he think are going to be the best. But it's clear and it's understandable, right, that Wijnaldum's going to take some time to, like HH says here, he's only going to get better, and playing him right now is super important. Upcoming derby should be wild. That's right around the corner against Lazio, and that Juventus squad is capable of winning the CL. I agree with HH says here. And Aldi says, I was happy that Spinazzola finally had a good match. Spinazzola had a fantastic match, guys. I mean, to see him get that confidence again, taking players 1v1 and just doing his thing out there, enjoying football, it really exudes through his play. Putting the ball, I think he had a meg at one point throughout this match. Amazing Vincent checking in here says it's great to see Italian players playing well with Euro qualifiers coming up. I mentioned Fagioli before. That's a player I like for Juventus. And Locatelli almost got that shot off, guys. And he has that in his repertoire. He can hit those from outside the box. But Chris Smalling makes it really brave, in my opinion. I know that's the job of a center back, but brave to just head that ball up and out. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put my face in the way of that hit. But Brahim says, with four midfielders, I meant Cristante, Matic, Pellegrini, and Wijnaldum win and to starting in the same game. Yeah, you're right, Brahim. Like, that is something that Mourinho made that work. Four true center midfielders here. Take a look at those names under me. Getting those guys to click together is no small feat. Morin says, we did to Juve what Atalanta did to us. Sit back and win by a wonder strike. Touché. That was from Gianluca Scalvini. Remember that hit? That was infuriating when that kid got that off. I hope he joins Roma next year. I think his contract's expiring. Another player I really like, talking about Italian talent going into the international play right now. Ali says, Munu Dybala is extra furious at Juve for not getting the remainder of his salary. So if you're haven't come across this in the news yet, apparently Juventus owe Dybala like 3.7 million euros, something around that figure, or 3 million. Mourinho also knew Tammy wasn't mentally prepared to start. He saw an opportunity and made a calculated risk. Calculated. Mourinho, shrewd. The guy says the truth. People have their opinions about Mourinho, negative, positive, but one thing that I will say, I wasn't a Mourinho guy. I didn't follow him throughout his career. I've seen these games. I sat in a place where they served fried chicken and watched his Inter dominate Barcelona in 2009. Like, I remember that vividly. So I've seen him play throughout the years. But one thing, the way that his teams play. But one thing that I will say is he always tells the truth. Mourinho is a truthful guy. Like, he says things for how they are. Whether there's an opinion on that, like if you don't agree with it or not, is the things that he says are often very accurate, especially when you look at him calling out past players like at United or at Chelsea, determining who has what it takes, who's a good influence on the pitch. And you know what? When players don't behave like Rick did, they get benched. But it takes a bigger man then to reintegrate him into the squad. And also credit to the player for coming back and patching things up, because it's very easy to just say, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to go out on loan somewhere. I don't want to deal with this. But they come back together. That's part of a family. Think like, you have problems with your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, whatever, and cousins, and these things happen. But ultimately, if you can get everyone back together, that's a testament to the team itself. Rocco says, I think it's time Serie A fans start putting respect on our back line. Don't let them. Don't let them know until they get to the Stadio. We've come a long way from Ibanez, howlers, and Mancini inconsistency. Milan fans worship Tomori. Our defense is solid. And this is why you have to give players time. You have to let them work, let them get adjusted to the coach, let him work with them, let him develop them. I've seen such growth from Gianluca Mancini and Ibanez over the past 18 months. Guys, let me know if you don't agree, because I see it every game. You know, there's moments, right? Ibanez has had a history throughout his young career of making mistakes, but hopefully through this growth, he gets more confident and it just starts to become instinctual, and his game IQ, I think, has definitely grown. Joseph says, I saw a stat saying Pellegrini hasn't scored an open play goal in Serie A since October 2021. Is that true? I believe it to be true. And that's something, that I think that's maybe a conversation for another day. But Pellegrini today did very well to advance the ball. And why he's not getting into those positions to score, I guess let's tackle it right now, Joseph. I don't have that answer yet, but I think that he's a player who's much better in a deeper role. I don't think that his skill set and his dribbling is one that's going to take players on. I think he's much better at a setup guy, pass first rather than shoot. Although Pellegrini does have a shot on him, and those goals that he has scored have come from free kicks. Pellegrini's role is concerning to me a bit because today, he did a great job. However, is that sustainable long term? He's not going to always play as his false nine. So what happens to him? And I don't know, and I think that's an evolving situation. Alan checks in. Ayanovic says, nice win, but I'm not optimistic about the champions. We don't have continuity for that. You can't drop points against Cremonese. You just can't. It happens, man. The ball rolls both ways. And these shocking moments, these moments which seem like everything is lost, can be overturned if you get out there and you change your destiny and you carve a path and you put it into your hands. And hopefully Roma do that and they can continue fourth, because right now they are in fourth and they're even ahead of Milan, even though they have the same points because of the head-to-head. Rocco says Dybala hung the Juve kit off his butt after the game. Seemed intentional. Yeah, I think there's something there. Who is that? I can't even pronounce that name. I don't know that guy, HH. Morin says 0 goals conceded at home this year. That's crazy. I thought it was 7. I think it's 7 goals conceded at home, if I'm not wrong. But if you maybe Morin, you want to fact check that for me. Let's go to some, what do you call it? Let's go to Football Italia and see if the Mourinho comments are up yet, guys. Yeah, that was 40 seconds. Not a Serie A record. So I'm going to read into that one, and let's see what Mourinho has to say about this. I'm going to go into Italian because it's not translated yet. So you'll have to give me a minute as I translate these off the cuff. Okay, we're getting ready here. Also, I'm looking at this Kane red card, not a Serie A record. Let's see who it was. It's December 9th, 1990, with Giuseppe Lorenzo, who managed 10 seconds in for Bologna. He elbowed Parma legend Luigi Apolloni. Jeez, 10 seconds? Come on, man. But I'm going to translate these right now. Okay. La parola del mister. This is coming from Dazen, D-A-Z-N, which I'm sure I always say wrong. It's mentioned this was a game of a team game. He says, for this, I'm not sad. It's difficult to accept our match against Cremonese. When this team plays as a team, they give everything. We're bringing the result home, like we get the 3 points. I'm happy for this victory, but I still haven't processed the match against Verona, Cremonese rather. So it's still brewing within his mind. And then he says, Roma won because the players were bravi, they were great, and gave 100%. Also, what was crucial here was the behavior of the players. Max Allegri's team is growing a lot. We know that when Juve is compact, they're a wall. It was important to have a bit of the ball also, and abbassare un po' di gente. I don't understand that phrase. Maybe he's saying abbassare un po' di gente. I think he's talking about also to suffer a little bit, to lower. They had a bit more intensity and more in their legs. Us, with a compact block, we defended very well. Rui did very well. Also, some miracle of his was important. And then he's asked about Allegri, his relationship with Allegri, and he says, we often speak, we have a good rapport, and we joke a lot, always. Yes, and then he says, I'm happy with the distance now, because also with the difference of 15 points, it's a team that is unspent. Doesn't translate. The problem is that you never know what you're going to get from Roma. We must be aware of our limits, and if you're aware, you play always at 100% to bring home the result. The championship is a marathon. We know that in a dry match, in I guess secca, partita secca. Secca means dry, but in a dry match we can get results. However, I guess he's saying in like a fair match we can always get results. Juventus is a great squad. Okay. And then he's asked if Roma can arrive in the end of the Europa League, and he says the level of the conference of last year was higher than what we faced this year. Look at the Europa League this year, and it seems like the champions. We are already in difficulty because they have played Friday and us Domenica Sera, so Sunday evening. So he's saying that Real Sociedad is going to have 2 more days of rest, and that's going to impact them. So there you have it. That's his opinion already going out there, being like, look, this is ridiculous. Okay. He's asked are you going to be there the following match? And he says, I'm not waiting for anything. There is a process and a race, and I must respect that process. Until the very end, I won't say anything. I want only to work. So he's asked about his appeal there. Thanks for hanging in with me during those live translations. I know that can get a bit sticky the way that I'm speaking. Okay, I'm going to go back to some comments right now. Doesn't feel good when Lazio is above us. Well, gives us a challenge, man. Let's look at when that derby is. Roma-Lazio. And by the way, the Roma fans will be able to attend because this is going to be an away match for Roma, but they will be able to have their fans after that 2-month ban. So that's Sunday, March 19th, 1 p.m. That's 2 weeks away, guys. I'm nervous. Even after a derby, everything goes out the window, form, everything. It is a fierce fight, those spots. Morin says, I feel that Pellegrini is in the same situation that Cristante was previously, constantly being shifted to fit the team. When Cristante found his position, he became better. Sharma checking in. My man, Sharma. Mosa Kane took revenge for Balotelli. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Adnan says, great win. I'm so elated. Yes, man. Joseph says, do you think Mancini is good enough for a starting spot in the national team? Yeah, like totally. Especially looking at who there is right now. If you had to give Azzurri starting center backs, I think Mancini has to be in at the very least, the 3rd pick, right? Who would be his partner? Bonucci cannot be there anymore. He's done. I don't even know if he's perhaps retired at this point. I think Mancini has to be there. Like, if Mancini started to play on here, if Mancini, the coach, does not pick him, then I think the FIGC has to start looking at different candidates just based on the eye test there, without looking at stats or goals, any of that. If you're not looking at the leader that this guy has become, then you're kind of missing the plot. So he better be in there. Ishmael says Mourinho was different. He owns Juve. Marco checks in. Hi, Marco. He says, is it okay to say I disagree? We played like a city of... No, Marco. Come on. Dybala's looked like a sitting duck. You know me, Jose. Yeah, come on, man. This was so fluid today. Everything was perfect except the final ball at times. And we get a strike from outside the box for the first time in a very long time. Oh, no. No name calling in the comments, please. VR Architect says, Cremonese also beat Napoli. Does this make Napoli a Serie B team? It's a point. Yeah, Cremonese took points off who's going to be the Scudetto champions. And Ali says, if there's one aspect of our game, I'd like it to improve our transitional gameplay. It's pivotal for our tactics. We still need to do a better job as if it were not so big on possession. Transition here, as I mentioned earlier, was a bit of a problem. Yeah, for sure. That final ball, always, when Roma were about 20 yards, 25 yards away from Juventus's net. Just that final ball is lacking, and maybe a little bit more tactical training or sequence training back on the turf. Maybe tomorrow. Well, I think tomorrow these guys are going to get a day off, but maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. Come on, Marco. Anyway, guys, throw a like up there on this video. And as I asked in the beginning of this episode, send this to your Romanisti. Let's make this community grow. After tonight, it's a really great feeling, I have to say. Sometimes you get on these lives and we get on and we're frustrated. But today is got to be happy for the win. And it's not just any win, guys. It's Juventus. Anytime you take 3 points away at Juventus is a day to really celebrate. Go order some food tonight. Get yourself an extra coffee tomorrow morning. Do what makes you happy because you got to enjoy these moments. And Rocco says, I'm happy for the win. Boys were solid, but Marco has a point. We're a 1-0 team now. But that's always been Mourinho. It's you kind of know what you're going to get with that in his track record. And it could have been 2. Really could have and should have been 2-0. Spinazzola is back, baby. Yes, he is. Masterclass by Spinazzola. I'm very happy to see him get that confidence back, taking players 1v1. So, great result. Collins, first time commenting. Thanks for joining, man. I was discouraged after Cremonese, but this game has given me hope for the Champions League. Me too. And I'm hoping, I think this team is better than Milan. I think they are at least equal to Lazio. Take, Roma-Lazio rivalry aside, they play a really good brand of football right now. Sarri is not a joke of a coach. In fact, he's very good. He's one of the best Italian managers out there, probably top 3. And I would put De Zerbi in there also right now. So I think Roma at this time deserves it by the way that they're playing. However, consistency is going to prove key. If Roma can get past there, then you deserve it, right? If you can't, then you don't. So Roma is on a balancing act. We are definitely going to lose a little bit of hair by the end of this season. This was round 25, and we've got 13 more games, right? If I'm doing my simple math correctly. And this is the final stretch, and hopefully this sets the tone. And this is the best, like I said, this is the best that I've seen this team play in perhaps 3-4 years. So, Sam and Lee says 4 a.m. Or are you out in Indonesia, Sam? Ali says, wait, I noticed that you usually have someone for your match preview streams for our big matches. You should have a Romanista for Roma Lazio preview. My suggestion, Simon from Roma Theory. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, man. I'll definitely get somebody on here before that to jump a little bit back and forth with. I think there's definitely some guys out there who would make a good co-pilot for this stuff. Do you rest Spinazzola Thursday? I do. Yeah, you got to get Selic back in there. Maybe even Zalewski or Karsdorp. So I think that's a good call there. Rocco says Juve hit the post 3 times. Yeah, we didn't mention that yet. Simon Lee's from Nepal. Nice, man. Nice. I have a buddy that the restaurant that I go to is from Nepal. I always talk to him about it. Mark says no transition, no build up, no attack, no nothing. I disagree. The transition was pretty good today. What was just lacking was the final ball. This used to be La Magica. I don't really. Yes, but you're not gonna get La Magica. You're not gonna get champagne football with Mourinho. It's not the way he plays. It's not how he built his career. So don't expect that. But yes, let's be positive. There you go, Marco. Thanks. Cheers. Anyway, guys, let's see if any more news has popped up before we sign off. This has been an incredible last hour of life. I went skiing today. Got a little last rip in of the season up at Hunter Mountain in New York, which was really good. Here we go. I'm looking at some pictures right now. And Mancini, let's see if we can get his comments. Hopefully Football Italia has transcribed them into English yet. Football Italia, man, that website's so slow. Nope, nothing yet from Mancini. So I'm going to go quickly into some of these comments if they're there. Looking through Forza Roma. Nope, nothing yet. And give one last look. Sometimes these websites take a long time to load. Yeah, here we go. All right, we got this comment coming from Mancini. Bear with me for the disconnect here. Speaking to Dazin, He says, we came off an ugly loss, and we analyzed that where we went wrong, and we prepared to have a better match today. So he speaks short. He doesn't give like long, extended answers, which I kind of like for right now. So he's then asked, you win this game by just going, like full out. It's a crazy type of match. And he says, these matches are won with the details and on the little things, on the particular things, he says. We're always going to look to get better also in these aspects. And he's right, especially when you play a defensive brand of football. It is these particularities which Mancini discusses right here in this press conference. So think about what made Roma get a win today versus a draw. 3 posts, right? So these games sometimes come down to millimeters of a difference. And that's why when you are training, it's so important to be incredibly concentrated. And that's very difficult to stay on. Because think about like when you study for a test, this is very much the same type of feeling you get is you get mentally spent. And if you take your eyes off the road for 1 second, that's when accidents happen. Sorry for that allegory. Thank you for what you do. Thanks, Rocco. That's very nice of you. I appreciate you, man. Allegri's statement shows he feels he won on merit. Yeah, okay. Slopes were good, man. Yeah, they were very difficult today because we actually got one of our very few snowfalls in upstate New York. Not in New York City. We haven't gotten any snow all year. Like maybe some slush last week, but very tough out there today. But it was great to get one last run in. So if anyone goes to Hunter Mountain, let me know. Or in even Vermont too. Mohammed says, I like it when Ibanez got taken down and everyone from the bench got mad at the ref so Mourinho doesn't get in trouble. Yeah. That was a highlight of the match. I loved that. Everyone got real tough. They're like, what are you doing? No. You got to get this guy out of here. That was great. Sam says, next derby's going to be electric. Win there literally means we set on top 4 and send Lazio to 5th. Ooh, that would be nice. Marco, we play Lazio in 2 weeks from today. Rocco says, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe, guys, for sure. I'm going to start doing videos also based on some comments that I find interesting. So ways to take this channel a little bit forward, make it more interactive, make this, more of a community feel with Romanisti, because this channel is in particular that I want us to be united, and I want the focus to always be the team rather than complaining and putting alibis and throwing the players under the bus. That's never what this is about. This is about being there for Roma and connecting and building through that. Ali says, I understand it's not easy being a Roma fan, but we should be more patient. We're building a project. We don't have the luxury of playing quote-unquote beautiful football every game. I'm hyped about our project. And you see, as Ali says, we use that word project, and it's definitely coming together. I think this team plays so much better than even when they won the Conference League final. I thought that was a great game. But up to that, there were hiccups. And we see that solidarity being built. The team is really starting to click around Mourinho. But there is, I don't want to be overly optimistic like a cheerleader, because there is still work to be done. And I think even with Mancini's interview, the players realize that as well. They're not ignorant of that. Take calls from members. Take calls from members after games. What's that, HH? Is that like a thing? I saw you capitalize that. Not sure exactly. But I'm going to check some if you don't follow me on Twitter, also take a look there. I'm always putting out posts about the games or stuff that I don't necessarily put on YouTube. And so I'm really happy today, guys. I'm definitely going to enjoy. Now it's probably time to clean up my house. And Matt, you want to come on? Send me your info, man. Text me or message me at Wayne and Rome on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm also on, always connecting through there. I think sometimes I throw my email, which is just my name, Wayne.Gerard10. If you could, take a guess at what number I've worn my whole life, 10@gmail.com too. So, send me all that type of stuff. So 34 members in here. We had over 40 at one point. This is great to see things going. And of course, it's wonderful when it's positive and you're like, yeah, Sunday's not so bad. I can go to work and have a good week now. It definitely gives you that extra push, guys. And what a display. Truly shows major character, guys. And I'm just over the moon. So let me know what you think. Throw some comments in there, even after, if you're watching this taped and you can't join in live. Sam says, anyone notice Pellegrini had some good sparks tonight? About time he gets back rolling. Derby goal. Ooh, Sam's calling it. Make a membership on your channel so we can support you and allow us to call after calls a couple of minutes like we are, like Tottenham TV do. Send me a link. Show me what that exactly is. But I think once we get this community a little bigger, I will do that. And one thing, if I do charge people like to write in comments and stuff, one thing I'm going to do is definitely at least the first 6 months, I'm going to donate all of that to probably like my local animal shelter or one that does work with, like not ASPCA because they have a lot of red tape. Like that doesn't always go directly to the animals, but smaller like no-kill shelters in my area. Or sometimes like maybe it's Ukraine and like the animals, because my patron saint is Saint Francis. And so like one thing in my life is I always want to give and help animals. I love dogs, cats, whatever it is. So if I do that, your money will go to a good place for sure. Anyway, guys, I'm going to check one last time here Forza Roma to see if any more comments come in. Maybe one from Allegri. I'm going to check real quick. Come on, Football Italia, get a new server. And that was I read this headline here that this ends a really good run for Juventus, and that's very important too, because up until this point, people were like, can they actually get back in the Champions League? Allegri says, Chiesa and Pogba are not 100%, blah, blah, blah. We have amassed 50 points this season. It was a difficult match. It feels like the world is crumbling around you, but we can reboot. Everyone likes to talk from the outside, but in the history of football, nobody has ever experienced a situation like Juventus. So he's giving alibis. He says Kane made a mistake. And he says, I think that after the goal, Locatelli pushed forward too much and left Adrian Rabiot alone. We needed to be more orderly after the goal. Orderly, I don't agree with Max here. I thought Juventus did really well to get up the pitch and created opportunities. So you can tell the type of difference here with Allegri specifying which players, whereas Mourinho will just say like, we didn't do enough. And that we word is a lot different than focusing on one particular. Really, a number 6, more of like a defensive midfielder? Maybe as I'm over 30 now, I got to transition to being more in the back. Super chat. Let me check that out. Let me check what that super chat's all about. It says make membership on your channel. Like that. He says don't charge for comment. You need the comments coming in. I also agree with that too. I like that people are coming in, and it is just a really good community for the sake of it. It would be like $1 or $2. I don't know if I did set up a membership, but I'm almost at 600 subscribers now. So the channel's definitely grown. I mean, last year it was like around 300. I think one thing that people don't like, why you don't see me with like 5,000 followers, is like one reason upon others is I don't report transfer news, and transfer news is tabloids and it makes a lot of hits, a lot of clicks. But the thing about that is they're not legitimate. Not legitimate until Sky Sports is saying it. And a lot of it, 90%, 95, 98% of that stuff that you read on the tabloids, whether it's Football Italia or whatever, is just reports from La Stampa, La Repubblica, coming from England, whispers, oh, this could happen. It's nonsense. It's just to make the day go by. It's just so these websites continue creating revenue. So I'm not going to waste your time. If we want to talk about a player in particular, that's another thing. Like Balzani, players I really like, Parisi from Empoli, these guys, like they're worth conversations. Not even that they're links, just for the sake of them. But all right, Dybala, yeah, Forza Roma. Thanks guys for checking in. Thank you so much. Send it to your Romanisti. Let's talk soon. I'll definitely be back during the week, and keep an eye out for shorts as well, because I like to just round up sometimes when there's 3 or 4 or 5 news stories and just wrap them off real quick and under a minute. So, ciao. What a win. Enjoy your week. We back for Real Sociedad. Time for another win. Forza Roma.